I went from making 36 grand to over 7 figures a year in tech sales within the span of 9 years. And I truly believe it was these 7 habits that helped me hit the 7-figure mark in such a short period of time, and then keep hitting every financial goal that I've since set for myself since then. Hey guys, this is Chris Orlob. I'm an entrepreneur turned SaaS revenue leader, once again turned entrepreneur again out here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And in this channel, you'll learn tech sales tips, tactics, strategies, and insights that are going to help you grow your income and revenue at breakneck speed. So be sure to subscribe to the channel, and let's jump straight into the 7 tips or 7 habits that led to 7 figures and can help you do the same. So the first one is learn and study your buyer so well that you can peer into their soul. Okay, I actually had a VP of sales tell me this once. I was giving him a sales pitch after we had done our discovery call together. And by the time I was done, he goes, "It's as if you're peering into my soul." And that is the key, not only to sales success, but to business success. That's the key to sales success, to marketing success, to product success, and to an overall business success, which is to be able to understand your buyer incredibly well, right? Their hopes, their dreams, their fears, their frustrations, their aspirations. When you understand your buyer as well as the back of your hand, magic starts to happen. Okay, I'm not necessarily recommending this next part, but that's one of the reasons I decided to stay selling to sales leaders my entire career so far, right? I started out my career at InsideSales.com, selling to sales leaders. Then I started a company, Conversature, selling to sales leaders. Then I joined Gong for 6 years, selling to sales leaders. And now the 2 companies that I own and run, pclub.io and QuotaSignal, both sell to sales leaders. Now, I'm not saying you have to stay within the same industry within your entire career, but there is something to be said for the compounding benefits and advantages for being able to understand your buyer, because that's what sells, right? Product knowledge is important, but buyer knowledge is so much more valuable. You can take that straight to the bank. So understand the buyer you sell to incredibly well until you start to get similar feedback that you can peer into their soul. That's when you know you're about to strike gold. Okay, habit number 2 for 7 habits to 7 figures. Improve your business acumen, not just your sales acumen. Now, I will say this, it's important to improve your sales acumen. You should go through sales training. You should go through pclub.io. You should go read sales books. You should go check out all of the sales authors out there and really soup up how good you are at selling. But have you ever noticed that when you get one of your C-suite executives into a room with one of your customers' C-suite executives, the deals just accelerate? Now, why do you think that is? Well, it's not just because peers like to talk to peers, although that is a big part of it. I don't want to downplay that. It's because now you're getting business acumen on the same level as another person's business acumen, and that accelerates deals, right? People like to buy from not just those who they like and trust. I actually think being liked is overrated in sales, particularly B2B sales. Being trusted and being respected, though, are gold. And one of the best ways to become trusted and to become respected is to improve your business acumen. And so study subjects in business that are not just sales, right? Make sure you know your way around an income statement or a cash flow statement or a balance sheet, right? Know the language of business, which is finance, and understand other ramifications and issues that C-level executives might be thinking about, such as product market strategy and other high-level topics that go just, beyond the transaction of sales technique. So the call to action is not just to become a great sales professional, it's to become a great business person and business professional Study business books, not just sales books. Study business educational research or resources, not just sales resources. Okay, number 3. This is one of my favorite. Fall like lightning. Okay, fall like lightning. In the book, The Art of War, Sun Tzu has this quote where he says, fall like a thunderbolt. And what he means is when you're ready to strike, go fast, go so fast that people don't know what's going on. Now, the same thing happens in sales, where the faster you respond and are responsive to a potential deal, the faster that customer is going to respond to you. They mirror your speed, right? So if you get on a discovery call or a demo and you take 2 days to follow up, they'll probably take 2 days or more to follow up. But if you make it a habit to respond lightning fast and to act on things very, very fast, that's how you get deals done at breakneck speed. Okay, so make it a habit, not just to respond to customers fast, but to do things very fast in your business life in general. Now, I know there is value in life for slowness, right? For taking things slow. And you should do that in your everyday life. But when it comes to your business life, write these words down. Money loves speed. Speed of execution, speed of response, speed of decision making. Get in the habit of moving very, very fast. Trust me, when you do that over a long period of time, that compounds and that leads to big money. Okay, habit number 4, take a leadership position with your buyer. Question for you. If you've been at your company for at least a year, how many times have you sold your product? Probably dozens, maybe even more than that. If you've been at your company for a significant period of time, it might even be hundreds. Now, here's another question for you. How many times has your buyer purchased your product? At best, a couple times. More realistically, once, or even the most realistically, this is their first time ever doing it. So if that's the case, if you've done this dozens, maybe hundreds of times, and they've only done it either 0, once, or twice, who should be the leader? Who should be suggesting what the correct next step is? You. Yeah, I see salespeople all the time ending their sales calls with something like, so what do you think we should do next? Or what are your thoughts on what we should do next? Now, there's nothing wrong with that if you're just trying to get your buyer's opinion, but write this down. Again, put this on a sticky note and emblazon it into your subconscious mind. Sales is an act of leadership. Okay, it is the burden on you as a seller to recommend to your buyer what should be done next across 3 dimensions. What should be done next? In other words, what is the next step? Who should be part of that, both on your side if you have multiple people and theirs, and why? Why that next step and why those people? If you can get really clear about those things, you'll automatically be in a position of leadership. So here's your action item. Before any sales call, get clear on 3 things. Before you go into the sales call, what next step are you going to recommend? Who are you going to recommend be involved, and why? If you can answer those steps, leadership will naturally follow. Okay, tip number 5, or habit number 5, surround yourself with sellers and leaders that are better than you. There's a book called The Inner Game of Tennis. I remember almost nothing about this book except for one thing, and it is that the author made a scientific study and claim that one way to get good at the sport of tennis is simply by watching it. Because if you watch enough excellent professionals play tennis, your subconscious mind starts to pick up on their mannerisms, their swings, and you start to automatically mimic them. The same thing happens in sales. I was so incredibly fortunate to join Gong and then have so many amazingly successful sales leaders join the company thereafter that I got to learn from them over the next 5 years of my career. So shout out to Ryan Longfield, the Chief Revenue Officer, Kelly Wright, the former president, Justin Geller, the head of SMB sales, and Jameson Young, the SVP of SMB and mid-market sales. I was able to simply watch and learn from these individuals, and I soaked up their sales technique, their mannerisms, and a bunch of other things just like a sponge. So this should probably be habit number one, because if you can just get yourself around some really successful salespeople or sales leaders, you're going to automatically start to sell like them. You're automatically going to start to become like them, right? There's this tried and true quote that goes around like the self-development community that says you become most like the 5 people you spend the most time around. And it's totally true. At least that's what I've been able to find in my experience. So get around very successful people, observe them, and you'll find that you automatically start to mimic them. Okay, that is a huge part of what I attribute my own success to. Okay, habit number 6 out of 7 to 7 figures, work insanely hard. All right, I'm going to put on my Kevlar. I'm going to put on my armor because I'm sure there are plenty of people that are about to basically attack me on this. But somehow, at least in the United States, hard work has become a bad thing over the last few years, right? We all are obsessed with work-life balance, and we're obsessed with making sure companies don't push us too hard. And I'm all for work-life balance. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but let's not make insanely hard work a bad thing either. In fact, if you think about it, why would you work hard? That's an act of optimism. That's a good thing. The only reason you would work incredibly hard, unless you're being like forced to in some way, which in that case, that sounds toxic, and I'll relent. You should get out of that situation. But if you are working incredibly hard out of your own sense of autonomy, that is an act of optimism. That means you believe the effort you are putting in today is going to pay off tomorrow. And if all you want out of life is balance and to savor life and to enjoy it, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't look down upon it. That's totally fine. But if you want some sort of professional greatness, do not trick yourself into thinking you can have it and not make incredible sacrifices, right? Sam Altman, who is currently the CEO of OpenAI and has done a bunch of other interesting things in his career, right? CEO of Y Combinator, a few other things. He wrote this article, I think it's titled How to Become Successful, right? Really generic blog title, but it's so powerful. And one of the things he talks about is working insanely hard. And he makes the point that to get extreme results, in other words, outlier levels of success, you have to work extremely hard. Extreme people get extreme results. And so all I'm saying here is, look, if you don't want outlier success, there's nothing wrong with that, and you don't have to work hard. But do not kid yourself that if you do want outlier success, you can get away with it with 30 hours a week or even 40 hours a week. Okay, you might even be able to make $1 million a year at some point working only that many hours, but it probably took a lot of work before then. And if you want something far more than that, I'm sorry, but I'm going to be the guy to tell you, you've probably got to work a little bit harder than what most people on social media are convincing you that you need to work. Okay, so that's number 6. Number 7, become so good they cannot ignore you. There is a book by the same title by a guy named Cal Newport. It's called So Good They Can't Ignore You. And this has been one of my career Bibles for the last probably 7 or 8 years now. The entire thesis of the book is the way to have an exceptional career is to acquire rare and valuable skills. Okay, these things don't just happen by themselves or randomly. You have to get very good at something. And so overinvest in your skill set. If you're a sales professional, get really, really good at selling. It can take years. It might even take a decade. But if you commit to reading a book or learning a pclub.io online course or doing any other educational skill building program for 30 minutes, heaven forbid 60 minutes every day for 5 years, I'm going to make a personal guarantee to you. You will wake up to a completely different life, right? Overinvest in your skills. Skills make you rich. Theories don't. Okay. Overinvest in skill acquisition, skill building. It might take you 3 years. It might take you 2. It might take you 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, could even take you 20. But if you invest 20, 30, 60 minutes per day in building your skill set as a sales professional, as a sales leader, as a business leader, I can guarantee that you will wake up to a different life, to a different career, to a different business in some acceptable time frame. So those are the 7 tips that I have for you. These are the 7 habits I would attribute to helping me skyrocket to 7 figures in annual income, despite being a relatively young person. And no, I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but it is probably younger than what you're guessing. Maybe not. I'm actually getting up there. I've got a couple kids. I've got an 8-year-old son. I've got a 6-year-old daughter. So I'm getting there. But try these out. Take them to heart. If you liked this content, subscribe to this channel. If you really want to overinvest in your skill set as a sales professional, go check out pclub.io, pclub.io. It is the #1 website and online courses on the internet for tech salespeople to skyrocket their income, their attainment, and their revenue. Go there now, and I will see you in the next YouTube video.